Hey there, Rappies. Rapper9198 here, and welcome to another edition of Ryan's Day Reading. So today, I'll be reading Chapter 12 of I'll Push You, titled Unexpected. So now we're at the 172 kilometer mark. And there's also, so now we're kind of getting to the middle of the, like literally the middle of the book, because there are some pictures in this chapter. So now you can kind of get a better visual. So you know what Patrick and Justin look like, and also just kind of some images of their journey. So here's chapter 12, Expected. And so we start with Patrick. Several days have passed since my run-in with the bull, and with 100 miles now behind us, Ted's departure is drawing near. 8 days into our adventure, my body is weary from constantly pushing, but I feel rejuvenated from the break we took yesterday in the small metropolis of Logroño. A day off from the trail offered time to stretch my muscles, rest my body, and take in the city's slow-paced culture. Much of our time was spent enjoying café con leches and Spanish tortillas for breakfast, and rich Tempranillo wine with paella for dinner in the courtyard at the center of the city. Now on the trail, I can see Ted is beginning to move slower as his time here winds down. He has given 150% every step of the way in an effort to ensure that Justin and I have the greatest chance of success on this journey. Giving beyond what his body could reasonably do, I think he has hurt himself in the process. Even with a limp, Team Ted continues to move us forward, to help move us forward. The 17 miles from Logroño to Nájera are relatively uneventful. As we near our destination, we have the pleasure of meeting Carl and Deborah, two pilgrims in their late 40s or early 50s, whose journey has some obvious parallels to ours. Deborah has multiple sclerosis, and her small, frail body has suffered much from the disease. But she is mentally strong. As Carl cares for her, the love we see between them is astounding. Carl, who is tall and lean, has been walking nearby roads that parallel the Camino, while Deborah rolls alongside in her power wheelchair. They are only able to do segments of the trail where they can find places to recharge her wheelchair battery. But their commitment to each other and to the Camino is absolutely beautiful. Watching Carl, I am reminded of Justin's wife, Kirsten, who bathes him, dresses him, and tends to his every need with a willing heart. Her background as a nurse has made the mechanics of caretaking easier, but the emotional strength required to care for someone you love is remarkable. Kirsten knew this was in her future when she married Justin, but she still said, "I do." It's a brave and beautiful thing to give yourself to someone so completely. After parting ways with Carl and Deborah, we continue on into town. As with so many of the quaint and beautiful towns we've been through, one night in Nájera doesn't seem nearly enough to appreciate the city for what it is. Still, after finding a place to rest our heads for the coming night, we drop off our backpacks and head out to explore as much as we can. It isn't long before we happen upon a large courtyard surrounded by souvenir shops, bars, and restaurants. We couldn't care less about souvenirs, but a cold drink and dinner are high on our priority list. As we wait for our meals to be served, we find ourselves surrounded by a number of pilgrims we've met along the way, including Carl and Deborah. But there are also quite a few new faces. I strike up a conversation with an American named Christy, who is sitting to my left at the end of a long string of tables. Her golden hair is pulled back in a ponytail, and her bright blue eyes match her inviting smile. Judging by her sun-kissed skin and strong, lean frame, she has spent a lot of time outdoors. Christy has been walking the Camino with a friend, but her friend has suffered a foot injury and will be returning to the States in the morning. This means Christy will be walking the rest of the Camino alone. As I enjoy my meal and give Justin bites of his paella, filled with chunks of chorizo, chicken, and shrimp, Christy asks about our Camino experience. We're headed all the way to Santiago. At least Justin and I are. Ted leaves in a few days. Doing this in a wheelchair is pretty crazy. Yeah, we get that a lot. Soon, Ted and Justin join in, and we all have a lively conversation. As we finish our meals, I turn to face Christy and ask, "What's your plan now that your friend is leaving?" Before she can answer, Justin says, "You should join us tomorrow." Christy looks at the three of us and says, "Oh, I don't know. I think I'm going to do it alone for a while. I need to figure some things out." She seems reluctant, so we don't press the issue. And after a while, we head back to our rooms. Before we go, we tell Christy where we are staying and what time we're planning to leave, in case she changes her mind. Back at the hotel, it's time for us to shower. Not many people find themselves giving their best friend a shower, but as I soap and rinse Justin, I'm reminded of Carl and of Kirsten. This is a privilege. It may be work at times. It may mean I'm the first one up in the morning and the last to bed, but to have the opportunity to tangibly express my love for my friend, to serve him, is a gift I cherish. The first time I gave Justin a shower, I was visiting him in San Diego to give Kirsten a break from caring for their three kids and her husband while also working outside the home. It wasn't long after Justin had lost the use of his hands, so having others bathe him was still a relatively new experience. The kids were in the living room while Justin and I went into the bathroom. As I helped him get undressed, he said, "I never thought I'd see the day when you would be taking my clothes off." Me neither. As I wrapped my arms around him and lifted him onto the seat inside the shower, Justin laughed and said, "New territory for the both of us." In my years as a nurse, I've helped countless patients bathe, but this was very different. "You're now officially the vice president of my inner circle," Justin said. "What do you mean?" "Kirsten's the president, and now you're vice president of my inner circle. The people who have had the pleasure of seeing me naked." I laughed, grabbed the spray nozzle, and began washing his hair. And now we go back to Justin. In the morning, the air is crisp and cool. While Patrick helps me get dressed, I sing a little song to him, as I have done every morning since Bayonne. Today's version goes like this. Yep, there's Pat, putting on my socks, putting on my socks, he's putting on my socks. After 3 rounds of my spontaneous ditty, Patrick is smiling and laughing. If I can't dress myself, I will bring the comic relief. Once I'm dressed, Ted bundles me up with my fleece jacket and fleece-lined chaps, which are like a miniature sleeping bag without a zipper. Ted drapes the chaps across my legs and tucks my feet into the pocket at the end. After securing the chaps around the leg rests of my wheelchair, with one of the straps sewn into the fabric of the chaps, Patrick wraps a second strap around my waist to keep them from sliding down as we travel. We eat a quick breakfast at the hotel, but not before I find myself in timeout again. Before he grabs our food, Patrick realizes I'm facing a corner. "Sorry about that, Skis," he says with a chuckle as he turns me around. I think he may have done it on purpose this time. After we enjoy some eggs and coffee, we're ready to get back on the trail. As Ted washes down the last of his eggs with coffee, he looks at Patrick and then locks eyes with me. "I don't like the thought of you guys being on your own." As he stands to throw his backpack over his shoulder, he continues, "Tomorrow is my last day, and you guys are going to need some help." With only a day and a half left with us before he has to fly home and return to work, the thought of Ted leaving gives us pause. Team Ted has been instrumental in getting us this far, but we have almost 4 weeks left on the trail before we reach Santiago. Ted walks ahead of Patrick and opens the door so Patrick can push me outside. As we step into the chilly, early morning air, the surrounding buildings cast lengthy shadows along the street. The one exception is a small park bench directly across from the hotel, bathed in brilliant sunlight streaming through a gap between the buildings. Sitting on the bench is a young pilgrim with long blonde hair and a backpack resting at her feet. Bent over, she is cinching her hiking boots tight, but she raises her head when she hears us come outside. With a huge smile on her face, Christy is ready to push. Help has arrived. Soon after we begin our walk, we are joined by John, a 60-year-old retired U.S. naval officer and recycling specialist from San Diego, and Linda, a young Canadian who teaches English at a school in Barcelona. Willing to lend a hand, they jump in to push or pull whenever necessary. My backside is starting to get pretty sore again from the trail and through my chair's shocks. And though my chair's shocks reduce the jarring of my bones, I need another break from the rocky dirt path. Consulting our guidebook, we see that a highway, North 120, parallels the Camino for most of today's stretch to Santo Domingos de la Calzada. With this revised plan for the day, we work our way down a short stretch of trail to North 120. As we set a comfortable pace along the paved roadway, Christy volunteers to push me so Patrick and Ted can just walk for a while. On the inclines, John and Linda step in to help push and pull. For the first hour, the road is smooth and quiet. Pleased with our decision, my body is thanking us for the alternate route. But not for long. In our second hour of travel, traffic has increased dramatically. A multitude of cars, pickups, and semis are now speeding past us at 70 miles per hour, and we feel as if we're suddenly on the edge of a heavily traveled freeway. With no way to get off the road, we cross to the left-hand side, where at least we can see the traffic coming. Our situation now is anything but safe, and Patrick decides to move out front and start waving to get the attention of oncoming drivers. Most vehicles veer to the middle of the road to give us a few feet of room as they fly by. But some drivers insist on hugging the shoulder, missing us by a foot or so. We soon learn from the film crew why so much traffic is barreling down a road that is supposed to be minimally traveled. A parallel freeway, A20, is closed for construction, and every car, van, and truck has been diverted onto North 120, or N120, which is essentially a frontage road with no way out of our current plight. So we must simply make the best of the day. Christy, Ted, John, Linda, and Patrick alternate between the jobs of pushing, pulling, and warning oncoming traffic. Like so much of life, challenges come when you least expect them. As I pulled into my driveway, the sky had already gone black, like a splash of ink backlit by a million tiny pinpricks of light. Inside our small turn-of-the-century home, my wife, Kirsten, and Jaden, our rambunctious toddler, had long since gone to bed. In our second year of parenting, we were still learning the ropes, and life had become even more chaotic when I launched my own graphic design business. I shifted my green Toyota Tundra into park and killed the engine. When I stepped down onto the worn concrete pad, I used the side of the truck to steady myself as I worked my way around to the other side, one fragile step at a time, to where a short, curving walkway led up to the gated front porch. The Southern California evening air was fresh and crisp, unusual for that time of year, and an eerie quiet hung over the neighborhood. Only the faint, distant hum of traffic changed the occasional chirping of crickets, and a random scattering of porch lights pushed back against the night. I lifted my right leg to step onto the raised walkway, but the 6-inch riser proved too much, and my legs folded underneath me. They had been getting weaker over the past few months, but this time it felt like someone had taken a baseball bat to the back of my knees. Going down hard and rolling onto my left shoulder, I was completely taken by surprise. I had become accustomed to stumbling or falling every now and then, but this was uncharted territory. For months, the cane Patrick made for me and a pair of orthotic leg braces had provided enough support to keep me on my feet and mobile. But as I labored to get my legs underneath me on the walkway, I wasn't sure I could even get up again. And well, here comes the pictures. So here's here's one of Justin and Patrick at high school graduation in 1993, and then there's them with another friend, childhood friends, left to right. Yeah, Patrick, Friend, and Justin in 1979. There. Yep, so high school graduation in 1993, and then this says, Justin, Patrick, Friend, and Justin in 1979. And then here's a picture of them reunited, home from college at Patrick's house in 1994. Justin giving his best man's toast at Patrick and Donna's wedding in 1997. He had the whole room laughing and may have told an embarrassing story or two. And then Patrick's turn as the best man at Justin and Kirsten's wedding in 2000. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Our friendship has always been defined by adventure. So, and then in 2001, we traveled with our wives to Europe. So here is from left to right. Yep, Donna. So Donna, Patrick, Kirsten, and Justin from left to right. Yep. Okay. See, at the Skisuck family cabin in Donnelly, Idaho, the weekend of the infamous bat incident. And then also Patrick carrying Justin out of the warm Caribbean water in Ocho Rios, Jamaica in 2007. Yeah. Yeah. And here are some pictures that were from their journey. So here is their first day on the Camino. We faced the challenge of the Pyrenees Mountains. Here. And then enjoying a brief moment of rest in the middle of the Pyrenees. As if the steepness weren't challenging enough, we also encountered plenty of thick mud. And then all right, and then in Pamplona, discussing options with a local welder for repairing Justin's wheelchair. And then resting in Estella with Team Ted. So that's them talking with the welder to repair that front wheel, as they mentioned earlier, many chapters ago. And then here they are just resting in Estella. And then at the top of Alto de Perdón, a hill of forgiveness outside of Pamplona, a monument dedicated to pilgrims. Yeah. I know, sorry about the noise. Sorry about, I know, my dogs and all right, and then see, here is a long hot day in the Meseta, and then a Cruz de Ferro, a beautiful place to leave burdens behind. Yep. 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 Good. All right, you two. All right, and then the steep climb up Ocibreiro, I think is. with Joe out front. Yep. Yep. Okay. We will never forget those we met on the Camino. Without the help of people like these, we would never have made it to Santiago. Yep, and then Patrick playing the guitar outside an albergue in Seria. And then also almost there, looking at the city of Santiago from Santiago de Compostela, from the monument of Monte do Gozo. Yep. And then brotherhood. Pursuing life with one another leads to amazing adventures. Justin and Patrick embracing a quiet moment together at the Samos Monastery. That's awesome. So now you guys kind of have a bit of a better visual. All right. Struggling to my feet and using my cane for balance, I managed to take a few more steps before I fell again. This time even harder. Twice now, in less than 6 feet, my body had hit the ground and my legs felt weaker than ever. Gathering my wits one more time and mustering all my strength, I slowly rose to my knees, pulling on my cane for some semblance of leverage. I was able to get myself vertical again. "You can do this," I whispered under my breath, but I wasn't convinced by my words. One more step, and down I went again. Tears of anger, frustration, and pain welled up in my eyes and dampened my cheeks. Fighting back the lump in my throat, I reached out, one arm at a time, and pushed up against the cool concrete beneath me, dragging myself the remaining 20 feet to the front porch. Looking up at the weathered gray gate, I reached my arm around the corner of one of the pillars framing the entrance and heaved my body onto the stoop. Catching my breath, I looked out into the silent, dark night and tried to make sense of things. This can't be happening. Not yet. I'm not ready for this. Never had I felt more angry, broken, and alone. And now we go back to Patrick. With constant traffic speeding past us and everyone on high alert, Ted and I are second-guessing our decision to take the North 120 route. Even the slightest drift toward the roadway threatens Justin with severe injury or worse. But with everyone working together, we proceed with caution. And several hours after what has proved to be one of the worst decisions of the trip, we arrive in the town of Santo Domingo de la Calzada. With the dirt of the trail now under our feet, I am filled with relief, and my pulse slows as the stress of the day gradually recedes. We stop at the first albergue which we reach, but find the only beds available are on the second floor, and there is no elevator. Though frustrating, this isn't something we can't overcome. We ask the woman behind the counter whether there are any albergues in town with beds on the first floor. She shakes her head, but directs us to one nearby that has an elevator. Rank with days of sweat, our clothes need laundering, and we're hungry after a long, stressful day. Justin opts for a nap, so I transfer him onto his bed for some shut-eye, while Ted and I hatch a plan to launder clothes and prepare dinner. Because our albergue, like most, has a kitchen for pilgrims to use, we decide to cook tonight. While I find a small laundromat, Ted heads to the local supermercado to buy some food. When we return to our room, Justin is awake and ready for dinner. Dropping off our clean clothes, we load him into his chair and head to the kitchen. As we join 30 pilgrims, including Carl and Deborah, from 10 countries, the excitement is palpable. While Ted and I cook a simple dinner of spaghetti and sausage, Justin meets a multitude of new people. Stories and jokes are shared in multiple languages, with punchlines in English, Spanish, Italian, German, and Japanese. Bottles of wine are passed from pilgrim to pilgrim, the food is communal, and laughter is abundant. Seeing so many different cultures and so many walks of life represented, I can't help but smile. I lean back in my seat and watch as people embrace the evening with joy and laughter. No one is left out, and everyone here is part of something bigger than themselves. With bellies full and eyes heavy, we clean up our dishes and prepare to head back to our room. Justin wants to take a shower, but getting him into one is often difficult because of the size of his chair and the fact that he can't stand up. In Los Arcos, we borrowed a bistro chair, which we then used to carry Justin into the narrow shower stall. In Bayonne, we used a desk chair to get Justin into the bathroom, and I transferred him onto the toilet while I repositioned the chair inside the shower so that Justin would have something to sit on. Then I lifted him from the toilet onto the chair. We followed the same procedure in Estella, but there we had no choice but to use a leather chair. Our room tonight has a large enough shower, but nothing to sit on. As we look for another chair to abuse, Justin says, "I would love to have just one shower where you didn't have to put me in a chair and drag me into the bathroom." Carl overhears us discussing our game plan and says, "Hey guys, Deborah and I have an accessible room, and you're more than welcome to use the shower." Justin looks at Carl and says, "Seriously?" Carl just smiles and nods his head. "That would be amazing," Justin says. Equipped with our tiny travel towels, soap, and a change of clothes, we make our way to the only accessible room we have seen in an albergue. And for the first time on our trip, a shower that has a place for Justin to sit. After I transfer him to a seat far more comfortable than a bistro chair, Justin asks if I can let him soak for a bit before washing him up. He makes the most of this opportunity and enjoys the warm, clean water. Now showered and in bed, Justin is close to asleep. Ted is already snoring, and I begin getting ready for the morning. Every night, I set out clothes for Justin to make the morning routine more efficient. Check the wheelchair for any loose nuts and bolts, shower Justin when we have the opportunity, and take my own shower as well. Before the sun rises tomorrow, I'll be up first to get dressed and fill our water bottles and the reservoir in Justin's backpack. After brushing my teeth and making sure our bags are packed, I'll wake Justin, help him use his urinal, get him dressed while enduring whatever song he has for me, transfer him from the bed to his chair, and brush his teeth, and we'll be off. All this in addition to each day's walking and pushing, is making me a kind of tired I didn't know existed. But tonight feels different. I have a sense of gratitude I haven't felt before. The challenge of the day, with so much traffic, the fact of Ted leaving us tomorrow, and the communal dinner we experienced tonight, have me thinking about what it means to face the challenges of life. To face the challenges of life alone. To take on the unexpected in isolation. I wasn't designed for a solitary existence. Though I am so very tired, there is an underlying energy in my bones, an energy that comes from the presence and help of others. The unexpected is just that unexpected. We can't plan for it. We can't predict it. We can't be ready for it in any way. Often the unforeseen events in life come with few answers or no clear way out. Deborah's MS offers no way out, and Justin's disease will eventually take his life. But just like the highway, the unexpected challenges can be faced and life can be lived despite the darkness. We just have to make sure we don't face them alone. Ted has helped us get this far. Christy, Linda, and John have offered to help in the coming days. The many pilgrims sitting, breaking bread, and enjoying wine tonight remind me of what the church is supposed to mean, what it is supposed to represent. We are a community, or at least we should be, where all are welcome, all are loved, and the unexpected challenges of life are faced with others at our side. All right, and that's it for chapter 12. Well, again, just like how each chapter is carrying such a positive message. And this one is, I like it. It's really a good message about community, and it's good to face challenges alone, or it's good to face those challenges. Don't face them alone. Sorry. Ugh. I want to make sure I say it right. But yeah, it's good to face challenges of life, and you never know what, because then usually you get something out of it. Like, I feel like it's like something will happen that will make it all worth it in the end. And I like that. I like seeing everybody getting along. Doesn't matter their ethnicity, their race, whatever. They're just happy together. And again, that's really what the world needs. That's how the world should be. That's my opinion. But again, I like it. There's so many other positive messages. Every chapter it just feels like carries a message in itself. So again, really, this is really a great book, and I'm glad I'm sharing it on here. All right, so again, thank you, Rappies, very much. Hope you guys are still enjoying it, and stay tuned next time as we go into chapter 13, the lies we tell ourselves. So that should be interesting. So again, thank you, Rappies, very much. Love you to death. God bless, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.